What's the old song? You don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Trump in a Republican primary. And that's what Thomas Massie has done by becoming his chief antagonist.
Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative.
I fully expect, unless there's some surprise that none of us know anything about right now, that Joe Biden will be the next president.
Strong words from U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas. The Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can.
Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative.
We have the enemy outside, which would be the very standard countries, and we have the enemy from within. We have some very sick people from within.
Senator Cornyn.
It's another 24 hours and see what another day brings. Never disappoints us. We keep winning and winning. More rhinos are heading out. More theft and fraud has been uncovered. More predators have been arrested. And we are in the storm watching it all unfold. Just can't wait for these updates, the comms to solidify it all, and so much more. We're at 511,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you for following us there. And you've helped us by hitting that like button on these videos. Again, we reached number 2 on the leaderboard next to Dan Bongino, and we appreciate you guys writing in. Some have told us that he's using clips from our actual show, and they heard my voice in one of those as he shared one of our clips. Pretty cool. Celebrate 250 years. Order now in time for Independence Day at shop.andweknow.com, and also andweknow.com. You can find all of our deals, and I'm going to show you real quick because I hardly ever do. But our website's getting updated now, and we've got some amazing things for you to find there. All of our information, the home, the videos, discover more partners, and so much more is on our website. And if you go to the contact button, you see that, you click it there. It'll take you to this page. You put your name, your email, and put send a photo. If you click there, send a photo, and send a message. We will take that photo and hopefully place it on our show. We have not been receiving very many photos lately, therefore we don't have a Patriot time to show you without receiving those. And also just latest news is on there. Also, we have our partners listed, so when you're listening to our videos and you forgot about Hunter's Blend Coffee or Parker Pastures or whatever, they're all there as our partners listed. All of our shows are on andweknow.com and our social media also. Hope you guys go check that out. Here's some great info. President Trump talking about the new ballroom.
A lot of presidents have done renovations to the White House, to all these things. Why do you think people are so mad about your renovations?
Because I'm doing it.
The Meridian Hill Park, you got the water flowing in, all of it, and they just seem to hate you for it.
It's a sad thing, actually. You know, it's very nice. I appreciate the question. First I said, oh, this is going to be a negative question. Then I heard she's really saying, why do they hate you for fixing the water fountains? So, you know, we have...
You're the president.
We have 40... I know, because I want to see Washington be beautiful. To me, it's very important. But as an example, you mentioned the water fountain. We didn't have one water fountain, and I think we have 40. We didn't have one in Washington that worked. And soon they'll all be working. Many of them work right now. And I think one of the best things, President Obama, President Biden spent much more than $100 million on the reflecting lake between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. They spent much more. They spent, some people say, $200 million. You know what they got out of it? A closed lake. It never opened, and when it did, it shut right away. It leaked. It was a disaster. I'm doing a job on the reflecting lake for a fraction of what they paid. Now I've upgraded it I got so into it. I've upgraded it like you wouldn't believe. I'm doing all the walkways outside. I'm doing it properly. But it's a much bigger job. But you see it's happening now. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be waterproof. It's going to be reflecting again. I took over a dirty, filthy thing that wasn't open, and it was disgusting. And friends of mine would come to the Lincoln or the Washington and they'd say, sir, it's disgusting. I said, what's disgusting? The reflecting lake. So I drove down. I looked with Secretary Burgum, who's fantastic, of Interior. He's fantastic. And we got together. And we have, it's under construction right now. I want to get it open before July 4th, which we'll easily be able to do. It'll be open before that. But
pretty amazing. He is saving our country, working hard with the military, obviously, in this military operation to take down the evil. At the same time, he's looking around. He's like, why does this place look so bad? It's just a terrible place. And we're finding out more and more so that he's found ways to use personal funds and funds from his from others to pay the bill on most of this and so much more. And he's out there now showing what he's working on, what he's building on. He takes the press out there, and he actually had breakfast made for all of them out while they were out there. The enemy. Most of them, the enemy of the people. That was a great question from that reporter. Now, breaking news.
Breaking news, we have a projection to make in Kentucky. CNN can now project that Ed Gallrein will win the Republican primary against Thomas Massie for the 4th Congressional District in Kentucky. And that is a seismic political decision made by voters in Kentucky tonight. Let's go straight to Jeff Zeleny. He's at Thomas Massie's headquarters. And Jeff, a very, very...
You hear her? Stuttering. These guys have lost their mind. They just can't believe President Trump continues to get wins.
Clear and strong defeat for Thomas Massie. I mean, what is happening there? This is being called, obviously, quite early.
Aaron, it certainly is. I mean, the polls have been closed less than 2 hours, and just a few moments ago, people began filling into the room. Now word has reached the supporters of Thomas Massie that he has fallen short to Ed Gallrein. Ed Gallrein is a farmer and a former Navy SEAL. He was a bit player in this race in many respects. President Trump made this a one-on-one contest between him and Congressman Thomas Massie. And
he says President Trump, and the anchor just starts going, oh. She looks like she was hit with a brick. Let's head over to some other folks that had something to say about this victory.
It's very rare. And Laura, this sends a message to the entire Republican Party and indeed the entire country, as I was saying before, that the power of the Trump brand to motivate voters, in this instance, 12-year incumbent beaten by a newcomer because of the Trump endorsement. And I think my party would make a very big mistake underestimating the power of the Trump brand and the fact that, as you say correctly, he has not lost a primary yet. He wins Louisiana. He wins the Kentucky Senate primary. And now this key House race. So I don't think this can be overestimated, Laura.
That's Doug Schoen, the Democratic strategist and pollster. Oh, man. And, of course, you saw some of this in the intro. I'm going to play the whole thing. Absolutely crazy what's happening. The CNN heads are just blowing up. And here's Scott Jennings.
What's the old song? You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger. And you don't mess around with Trump in a Republican primary. And that's what Thomas Massie has done by becoming his chief antagonist in the U.S. House. And this became really a referendum on, is Thomas Massie on the team or not? And Trump said he wasn't. The voters followed. The key vote that House leadership turned on him over was the big, beautiful bill. I mean, the working
House
families
leadership, but
tax
the president.
Credit. Well, but that's the president's domestic policy agenda. And you cannot become an apostate on two issues in a Republican primary, taxes and immigration. Massie voted against Trump's immigration security. He voted against Trump's tax cuts. So when you become a chief antagonist, when you're voting with the squad against Donald Trump's domestic policy agenda, it's not Epstein.
But that's
it's
because
a problem. When you're voting with the Democrats that often, look, politics is a team sport. He's just not been on the president's team.
How much
That's
of a chill get for the party?
Voters have some agency here, okay? These people who live in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District strongly support Donald Trump. It's one of the most conservative districts in the country. They overwhelmingly vote for him. And if they perceive that their Republican congressman, who they also voted for, is voting with the Democrats against the agenda of the president that they overwhelmingly supported, they take notice of it. That's what happened.
There we go. Scott Jennings is having a blast going on that Communist News Network and talking to these freaks that should be in some type of center to get their brains fixed. They've got all this Trump derangement syndrome going on there and more. They just can't. They can't hold back. They've been trying, since 2015? He's not going to win. 16, 2020, 2024, 2026 now. Here we are. I mean, just one big thing after another. Of course, they celebrated their victory for Biden. Boy, did he ever come through for them, and made the Democrats look so good. No, he embarrassed them, and they had to play liar, liar, pants on fire for Biden the whole time. And that military operation to continue to make that move forward and wake up the people has just been phenomenal. For the first time in 41 years, Mitch McConnell will not be a GOP senator from Kentucky. Over 4 decades, Andy Barr just won the GOP nomination, replacing McConnell. McConnell's everything wrong with politics. He would have kept going if he was even close to capable. And President Trump was on Truth Social posting all of his victories here. You'll see them on your screen. You've got the all these endorsements that won. Mike Kelly wins in Pennsylvania, 16. G.T. Thompson in Pennsylvania, 15. Guy won in Pennsylvania, 14. John Joyce in Pennsylvania, 13. You got Lloyd Smucker, 11. District 11. You got Scott Perry in 10. You got Dan Muser in 9. This is all Pennsylvania. And Rob Bresnan and Ryan McKenzie, Clay Fuller. I mean, the list goes on. Georgia, Rick Allen wins. Wow. Georgia, Austin Scott wins. Rich McCormick won in Georgia. Let's see, what else do we have here? Brian Jack wins in Georgia. Dale Strong wins in Alabama. Of course, we got Ed Gallerin in Kentucky. And Andy Barr actually winning. Where is he? Where's Andy Barr? I had that one wins in Kentucky there also. Nominee for U.S. Senator. And, of course, Kentucky, James Comer wins. And you've got Brett Guthrie, Hal Rogers. Absolutely brilliant. Playing out for all of us to see. I'm going to show you some amazing comms that connected with President Trump as he's showing off that great facility that's being built in the ballroom. Some smackdowns from J.D. Vance to the press. And, of course, our favorite acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Stick around. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At LTPetClub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
I have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, we've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to LTPetClub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today.
There will never be another thing like this, I don't believe, Bill, from a cost standpoint. This is all my money and donors' money. This is tax-free. So what we're talking about, they're going to give money, they're going to give money. The money they're going to give is really for the security of that and the whole White House premises. And I guess you probably need that nowadays. We've done the fencing on the outside of the White House. It's all titanium. You see the black fencing. That's been just done recently. And it was approved originally by me, and it's been completed, and it's very powerful.
Wow. It's amazing. Ronald Carter said, let me get this straight. Trump just built a ballroom at the White House. The roof is a military drone port with 360-degree vision of all of Washington, D.C. The same roof that bounces incoming drones off like rubber also launches drones to protect the entire Capitol. And it sits on top of a massive underground military complex, replacing the bunker every president has used since FDR. And the wildest part, this is privately funded ahead of schedule. And DOJ already filed the court documents calling it a national security necessity. So the ballroom is a drone-proof military platform on top of a presidential bunker, and Trump described every single feature of it out loud May 19th, 2026. They told you it was an event space. Turns out Event Space was just the sales pitch until they figured out how to build a military installation on top of the most protected address in the United States of America. Now, this video was played by the White House as they're showing the construction and President Trump standing in front of the press. You got this song playing. All that movement happening, construction and more. And this is called I'm a Be the Baddest song. That's the title. So Ultra Magadine came in and he says, guess what, folks? Trump reposted this White House post. The new White House ballroom updated just dropped, which is a 26-second video played to the music from the song I'm a Be the Baddest with a timestamp of 4:16 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It looks like President Trump just gave us not only a ballroom update, but an update from the White House to exactly what's going on behind the scenes. Cue drop 26 for the 26-second video. Think about it logically. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread once 11.3 verifies as first marker. Biggest advanced drop on the poll. And then 4:16 p.m. was the time it was dropped. We go to Q 4:16. Soros takes orders from P. All right. And so, of course, all of that it goes to the chair. You have no idea how sick and evil these people are. Fight, fight, fight. Days of days. Game over. The only way is the military, folks. Fight, fight, fight. We're in the days of days and it's game over. And when this is all over, President Trump will definitely be the baddest president our country has ever had. All right.
It's actually a very simple proposition here. There are two options, two pathways we can go down when it comes to the Iran situation. So step back for a little bit. What the President of the United States has said is, number one, Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And I think it's important for the American people and all of you to appreciate that when we say that, it's not just that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, it's what would happen if the Iranians did get a nuclear weapon. We know that a lot of nations all across the Gulf would then want their own nuclear weapon, and then a lot of nations all across the world. And what has been a very effective bright spot of American foreign policy really for the last 20 or so years would disappear overnight. If you have every country in the world scrambling to try to get a nuclear weapon, it would make us all much less safe. And Iran would really be the first domino and what would set off a nuclear arms race all over the world. That's very, very bad for the safety of our country. As the father of 3 young kids, I don't want them to inherit a world where 20 additional regimes, half of them very dangerous and very sympathetic to terrorists, have nuclear weapons. We want to keep the number of countries that have nuclear weapons small, and that's why Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, on top of all the other things that we might be worried about, that they themselves could use it, that they could use it in leverage and economic control or economic negotiations. We just don't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
How many times does he have to say it? How many times does the White House have to tell the press over and over again? You guys realize how close they came to having a fully capable of having a nuclear weapon? You guys remember that video I showed you of the $100 bill that they had out there? One second. So I brought that up real quick. Folding in a particular way, the $100 bill years ago, the one that they created a long time ago, will actually revealed secret imagery of a major incoming flooding into New York. When you change the magnification on the back, you can see tidal waves approaching the city, appearing to be just like the scene in the famous movie The Day After Tomorrow, 2004. You can see that on your screen. They always have their hidden messages, and they use their, hidden in plain sight. They show you in cartoons, they show you in their cards, and they show you in the movies what they were up to. And I believe that was part of the process. And that's why they sent the enriched uranium that Hillary Clinton sent overseas. And then on top of that, you got Obama sending all the cash over there to, give them the capability to do all kinds of stuff to our country. Our hope is that we'll all be exposed someday for all to see. And so while all this is playing out, I'm going to show you some more from J.D. Vance and his press conference with the crazy press. There's a person that has a fit. This guy's named Merkley. Has a fit after Todd Blanche reverses him on Trump.
Department of Justice and the FBI have evidence that a crime's been committed. And that doesn't, I mean, you're talking about Epstein.
You commit to pursue regardless of political affiliation?
Excuse me, Senator?
You commit to pursuing investigations free of prejudice about party affiliation?
Of course, yes.
Well, you say of course, but this president has repeatedly spoken of an enemies list that he wants to go after. And I must say, it's one of the symbols of the breakdown of a democratic republic when a president uses his Department of Justice, which you now head, to go after his perceived political enemies. I hope you won't be party to that. Thank you.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's why what happened during the Biden administration was so disgusting.
That is completely inappropriate.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more after what Biden did. And then, of course, this guy's like, well, I've got to protect Biden. No, I've got to say something.
And wrong. There is no comparison to the absolute fair-minded pursuit of justice under the previous administration and this administration's pursuit of an enemies list. Thank you.
And Blanche is just like, yeah, I got you, buddy. Yeah, it's okay for Biden to do whatever he wants and go after whoever is his enemy. Of course, when they're going to catch them and put them away for treason, it's okay for them to do that. But it's not okay for Trump to actually have justice play out against the enemies because they're trying to play the mind games and make people believe that Trump's the bad guy when it's not really playing out the way they want. U.S. Department of Justice, speaking to them, there's a Woodward on the indictment of 4 of the world's largest container manufacturing companies, 7 of their executives. The Justice Department is committed to prosecuting criminals who harm Americans domestically and abroad. They're holding Chinese bad actors accountable for exploiting the pandemic to fill their own coffers. They were overcharging. They're going after them, folks, one at a time. And then, of course, one of those we hope is Ilhan Omar. Listen to this.
You read the things about Ilhan Omar and about, who she married and whether she didn't marry this person or that person. It certainly seems like something fishy is there, but everybody's entitled to equal justice under the laws. So we're going to investigate it. We're going to take a look at it. If we think that there's a crime, we're going to prosecute that crime.
That's right. Bad guys are going to go to jail. And who is one of those guys that's leading it? It's Gillibrand, right? Brandon Gill is going to be heading that one up. So let me go over to Hakeem Jeffries. Let's see what they plan on doing to those who come after all of their crime.
I guess part of how we as House Democrats view this moment, either MAGA extremists are going to break the country or we're going to break them. And our goal is to break them. We will defeat them. We have to beat them electorally, and then we have to break their spirit because of the extremism that's being unleashed on the American people. That's completely and totally unacceptable.
You hear that? He's just letting it all out. We're going to break their spirit. These MAGA, these folks that care about their country, these folks that are exposing all of the fraud, exposing all of the ways that we're stealing their money, exposing the ways that we're stealing elections, exposing how we gerrymander, exposing how we have money sent all the way overseas to Ukraine and then it comes back to our pockets so we can use it for elections, exposing how we did mail-in ballots so that we could steal the election to put Biden in, exposing how we work with the Chinese and the Communist Party to get everything that we need to put into our pockets while we watch the people suffer, exposing how we lie to all the people to let them know that we're for the minorities when we actually use them to get votes, and that's all we care about. Exposing how we worship Satan and use him to get everything that we want. Oh no, we're going to go back and we're going to break their spirits. We're going to make them stop exposing us for the liars that we are. Lindell TV said breaking news out of Georgia. A Fulton County judge officially ordered that Georgia State Election Board members be granted access to Brad Raffensperger's controversial secret bunker, where statewide election results are aggregated. The order, signed by Judge Earl Glanville, was filed yesterday and marks a major victory for election transparency advocates after months of backlash over the lockdown facility being hidden from board members, candidates, and the public. There should be equal access and transparency for everyone. Grubbs also raised serious concerns about Georgia Secretary of State allies allegedly having insider access to election operations, while election integrity advocates and even board members were shut out. She further accused Raffensperger of placing election workers in difficult legal territory by reportedly visiting county election offices while actively running for governor, citing Georgia election law restrictions on candidates being present around ballot processing operations. If Georgia's elections are truly the cleanest and most transparent in the country, why keep this place secret? Oh, the big developments in Georgia and election oversight. So going into this election season, it's been pretty interesting to watch. And boy, did we see old Thune looking pretty down because they couldn't manipulate President Trump to make the decisions that they wanted to put the snake like Cornyn in.
Given that you've spent months trying to persuade the president to endorse John Cornyn in the Texas primary, and given that the NRSC has invested heavily to help Cornyn win that primary, how personally disappointed or frustrated are you with the president's decision to endorse Ken Paxton today?
Well, I think you all know my position on this issue. I've made it very clear for months now. And Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative. He is a very effective senator for the state of Texas. And but none of us control what the president does.
Effective senator, the one that worships and loves Islam, that goes against our very ethos, our country, and how it was founded, and our documents and more. Cornyn, who went after President Trump and basically said that he was in bed with Russia. Remember that?
FBI Director James Comey said that they have not dialed back their interference by his judgment in U.S. politics. So it's interesting that we have these diplomatic meetings. Everybody's nice. You shake hands, you smile, you walk around. At the same time, the man who was FBI Director until last night has said they are still actively trying to interfere in our democracy.
Well, I think there's no question about that. We saw the active interference in the French elections here just a few days ago. But through a combination of espionage, cyber espionage, propaganda efforts, use of social media, co-opting even some of the mainstream media to take phony news stories and to make them enter the mainstream is part of the way they undermine public confidence in our democratic institutions.
Sounds like a Democrat, doesn't he? Typical rhino. He's still there, huh? Listen to what CNN had to say.
Manu Raju is there for us. Manu, what are you hearing in the halls there, particularly from John Cornyn's colleagues who very much wanted him to be the person that President Trump endorsed?
Not just his colleagues. There were Democrats who were like excited. Oh, Cornyn's such a wonderful guy.
Yeah, shockwaves, anger, disappointment, and real concern among Republicans in this building. They had been lobbying President Trump for months to get behind John Cornyn. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, to some of his top deputies like the number 2 Republican Senator John Barrasso had been speaking to President Trump for months, saying that they believe Cornyn was best positioned to win this race. He could save the party so much money in a critical race, and that ultimately they wanted him to get behind Cornyn early and fend up any primary challenge. And Trump continued to dilly-dally, not making a decision, his indecision.
Dilly-dally. Boy, CNN, they're so good. Trump continued to dilly-dally. You think that's the way he leads? CNN?
On how to proceed ultimately led more candidates to jump into the race, not just Ken Paxton, but also Wesley Hunt in that first round, that primary round, that ultimately no one got 50% of the vote, and it led to that 2-person runoff that we're seeing that will take place on Tuesday between Cornyn and Paxton. And there was a real belief here in this building that Trump would stay out of this ultimately because he had not made a decision in so long. But now that he has gotten off the fence and back to—
That was February 28th. Oh, Paxton, here we go.
He thinks I'm the best candidate and that I will actually help him get some of these things done, like the Save America Act, which I have been promoting since they first passed it in the U.S. House. So it's something that I've been disappointed in, that the Senate hasn't gotten done, that John Cornyn has not been successful. And, you know, I even challenged him right after the primary. I said, look, he hasn't accomplished anything in 42 years of anything good. No one's been able to tell me what that is over the last 14 months. I'll give him a chance. Maybe he can get this one really important thing done, and I'll consider dropping out.
Yep. And remember who was fighting against Paxton for a long time? You guys remember? The old Bush family from Texas. Boy, oh boy, even the Bushes, you know, have been exposed for who they really are. Man, oh man, are we waking up. Let's see. How does the swamp fight back? Oh, the Senate advanced the anti-Trump Iran war powers resolution in a 50-47 vote. 4 Rhino senators voted alongside Democrats to advance an anti-Trump war powers resolution. Bill Cassidy, Rand Paul, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins voted alongside Democrats against President Trump. Wow, it's amazing. Listen to this from John Solomon.
Tonight, there's a little bit of revenge serving going on. Yep, just a little while ago, John Thune upset with President's decision to pick the Texas Attorney General in the Texas U.S. Senate race. Paid him back tonight. They just held a vote in the Senate just a few moments ago, and the Senate advanced a resolution to rein in the president's power to conduct war in Iran. It is a Pyrrhic victory. It's an optical victory because it's unlikely that this will pass in the House, but we'll see. But it's the beginning of perhaps a larger struggle between President Trump and John Thune. The person who changed votes tonight from an earlier effort at this that failed was Senator Cassidy, Bill Cassidy, who lost his race by finishing third in a GOP primary in Louisiana over the weekend. That put some sour grapes in his voting craw, apparently, as well. We're keeping a close eye on this because the president is trying to get a deal with Iran, and we'll have to see whether this has any impact on emboldening Iran, maybe to hold out because of fear the Senate won't stand alongside President Trump.
Oh, boy. A little revenge. Thank you, John Solomon, for that update, letting us know how they play games. Okay, Trump, you don't want to support us for rhinos? We're going to go against you. We're not going to support your Save America Act, nothing. You don't support us and keep these rhinos in, then we're going to fight back against you. Guess see what's going on? Oh, it makes me want a cup of coffee.
Hey, this is Mike with a public service announcement from Hunter's Blend Coffee. If you do have to resort to using coffee creamer because your friends brought crappy coffee to the campout, just be sure you don't add in too much, especially if you're sending directly over a fire. Or better yet, switch to Hunter's Blend. Much better for your personal well-being.
Saving good people from bad coffee. He wrote me and said, boy, it was awful close, that fire, when he threw that in there. Oh, Mike, you're something else. We love you guys. And Hunter's Blend Coffee, you know, they buy the top 6% of specialty coffee beans, roast with precision in small batches, and ship locally roasted coffee fresh to your door. They support organizations and causes that are near and dear to the hearts of many freedom-loving Americans, such as pro-life, youth shooting sports, veterans, hunting and conservation, patriot, and anti-sex trafficking. Boy, grab yourself some Hunter's Blend coffee. It's in the description box below. Go check it out today. All right, next we've got here Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. And he's about to let Senator Patty Murray have it. It's going to be a little disturbing because she tries to talk over him, but listen to what he unveils and how she tries to cover it up because they do not want to be exposed.
Invitations to receptions, you get to go to roundtables, you get to networking events.
If someone from the healthcare industry gives you $2 million, what do they get for it? What do you give
I do
them?
not oversee the I do not regulate.
You have jurisdiction.
I do not regulate.
You have jurisdiction.
I do not
$2 million to put your face on TV.
The
Council of Economics.
Mr. Secretary,
to go on vacation.
Listen to my point
That's what
here.
you do.
Mr.
Welcome to MAGA. Welcome to Drill Baby
Mr.
Drill.
Secretary,
Are you going to drill? Do you
please.
want to support lower gas prices?
Madam
I
Chair,
welcome that.
I ask my
Let's
time
drill.
back, please, so I
Let's
can ask a
refine.
question.
Let's
Mr.
pipe fuels
Mr.
across the
Secretary,
country.
You obviously
You have
came
not been
here with
supportive
a
of that.
book of every
You
one of
haven't
us, so
supported
that
that, Senator.
instead of answering our questions,
I'm
you could
answering your
attack.
question. You're asking
are
about
a-
gas prices.
I-
You have done everything
Madam
you
Chair,
can
can I
to
have my
increase
time
gas
back?
prices for Americans and make us buy
Mr.
EVs.
Secretary, this is my
Donald
time.
Trump is lowering the cost of energy.
You are
and
wasting
you know that.
my time.
You're wasting my
responding
time.
with a book of claims that you have come at us.
Do you deny that you got $2 million from healthcare? I can go down the list here.
Mr. Secretary, that is
Amgen gave
not.
you $140,000.
Mr. Secretary, it is my
Pfizer
time.
gave you
Madam Chair,
$102,000.
I am asking to be able to ask a question here. I do
I'm
not
just pointing
need
out your
an attack
record.
by a secretary who is the witness at this table. That is out
I'm-
of order.
What did Big Pharma
Secretary
get for
Duffy.
the 1.1 million that Big Pharma gave you? What did they get for it?
Mr. Secretary,
What did they get?
Seriously.
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 I want to know. I think America wants to know.
I find it.
I got nothing from anybody.
I find it astonishing
I do too.
that you are so angry at a question that I asked.
I'm surprised that
No.
you are, Senator.
I am not. I'm sitting here trying to ask a question. I'm being interrupted rudely by a
About Big
secretary
Pharma?
who's here.
No.
Mr.
Oh boy. Big Pharma. Look at the million you took from this company. Look at the money you took from that company. Do you want to answer? Oh my goodness, please give me back my time. Sunshine Diamond Eyes said, love it. They don't show the executive administration an ounce of respect. Continue to push back and reveal what hypocrites Democrats are. Bravo. She was furious. Her donations are being exposed and projecting her anger onto him, accusing him of exactly what she is. It's so predictable. You know, I want to continue this just a little bit so you can see. Gillibrand goes ballistic after Duffy calls out her hypocrisy.
You received $7 million in political contributions.
Oh, now we're going to hear them really get upset. And she's got to scream. She's got to stop him.
On the trial bar.
Honestly, this has nothing to do with members of Congress. This has to do with the fact that you went on a paid vacation that was paid by companies that you oversee.
$7 million
That's
from the trial bar.
campaign.
You have
It's
jurisdiction.
different.
You have jurisdiction on the trial bar. $7 million. When we go on the list,
$7 million on the trial bar she's been using.
what else you received? You have jurisdiction.
listen,
you actually passed
Secretary
legislation for the
Duffy,
trial bar.
This
So don't give me
hearing
that.
is about you
I didn't make any
and
money.
this administration.
No, it's about you. I didn't make any money.
This hearing,
I
you
didn't
are the
make any
witness.
money.
I am not
didn't
the
make-
witness.
I don't have any. Well, maybe you should be.
Well, you know
Maybe
what?
should answer the
Maybe you should be.
Secretary
You get for
Duffy,
$7 million
Secretary
from the trial
Duffy,
bar.
Secretary
Senator,
Duffy,
$7 million.
I think you should be
That
telling
goes in
this
state
committee
dinners. That goes to put
why
your ad on television. In your that's all to you. You spend that money.
this is what I'm concerned about.
Steak dinners,
You are
please.
political and you are
We're
using
over
your
our
position in
time right
political
now.
ways.
$500,000 paid by the trial bar to fly you on a private jet.
I've never been on a private jet.
Oh,
Zen Air.
I
Zen Air?
don't. Never been on a private jet. No, we don't.
$462,000
We
private
don't.
jets.
We don't. Members of
So
Congress
they pay
aren't
for you to
allowed.
fly on a yes, senators
Not
can.
true.
It is.
Not true.
Answer to that.
You know what, Mr.
I made
Secretary?
nothing.
Your
They
job.
put your face on television.
Your
face
job.
on television, your steak dinners, your vacations by the trial bar.
That's
You
right.
received
Oh, you belong to the father of lies. The liar from the beginning. Senator Gillibrand. The liar is right there on your screen, getting out of that private jet. Press Connect said Schumer, Gillibrand tops in charter plane use. Schumer ranked number 1 and Gillibrand ranked number 2 in spending on charter flights. USA Today. Schumer usually flies Air Charter Express based in Teterboro. Democrats Chuck Schumer, Kirsten Gillibrand, I believe it's Gillibrand of New York, ranked ahead of all of U.S. senators in tax dollars spent on charter plane flights last year. Newsweek, taxpayers fueled pricey private flights for Gillibrand and Schumer, other senators. The foreign travel was for overseas fundraisers with the American expat community. In addition to commercial air travel, she also has a taste for private planes, spending $462,900 on flights provided by boutique charter services and air. Many of the destinations for the senators were larger New York cities with regular commercial flights available for hundreds of dollars. Schumer commissioned the flights, typically cost between $7,000 and $10,000. Oh, twice as expensive per trip, with many of them originating in Washington. She's been caught. She's a liar. And, it's part of their hypocrisy, how they behave. Speaking of all the behavior, listen to this from Vice President Vance.
One of the great ironies of this job is that for the past couple of years, you see these protests break out all over the country, and sometimes, they're fairly well attended, and sometimes they're very poorly attended. Everybody holds these signs saying "No Kings," right? And how many Democratic lawmakers have I seen holding up signs that say "No Kings"? They are very, very insistent that we not have kings. And then King Charles comes to the congressional chamber, and these guys break out in rapturous applause. So maybe they don't care so much about kings as they pretend that they do. Maybe they just don't like the agenda that we're implementing that's actually making American workers and American families safe and prosperous again.
They're making them safe and prosperous. The true Americans, those that stand for our country, those that stood their ground on J6. They simply were told, come on, remember the police, everything we covered on J6, and they said, come on, guys, come with us. And then they opened the doors and said, come on in to the Capitol. And they trapped them all, and they got them all on video and more. And then they said, oh, we've got them on video. Okay, good. Now we're going to go after them, and we're going to put it out on mainstream media, and the FBI, the corrupt FBI, is going to go grab them at 2 o'clock in the morning in front of their kids. And we're going to scare everybody else that went in the Capitol and make them realize that they're going to pay for all the things that they did, so we can scare the American people from ever doing this again, from standing up for their rights to protest that election, right? All a game that they played. And now the money's going back to those people that were hurt. And many of them took their own lives, folks. That's how deep this thing went. And they're complaining because they don't, the media's like, oh, I can't believe you're giving money away. I can't believe that you're going to give some to Tina Peters, too.
Tina Peters is this woman who is about to get out of prison, thanks in large part to the president's good work in Colorado. This is a woman who, at worst, if you believe everything that the prosecutors said about her, committed misdemeanor trespassing, and somebody threw the book at her, this innocent grandmother was going to spend 10 years in prison, completely disproportionate to any misdemeanor trespassing that I've ever seen. Was that fair? No. Is it reasonable for her to get some compensation for the fact that she was treated unfairly? I think the answer is yes. And I think that what we're going to see, hopefully, is the entire country, led by this Department of Justice, turning the page on the lawfare. What I would like to propose, and I think the Democrats, hopefully they're willing to meet us halfway here. I won't hold my breath. But what I would propose is something very simple, that if you are willing to turn the page on Joe Biden's lawfare, why don't we prosecute people? Very simple principle. Why don't we prosecute people who violate the law? Let's not prosecute people because they said the wrong thing, or because they had the wrong political candidate, or because they had the wrong viewpoint. And I think part of turning the page on that, is to actually ensure the real victims of that lawfare receive some compensation. That's what this fund is going to be targeted at. And again, there's going to be a process to ensure that that money is only given to people who have actually, I hate to say earned it, but the people who actually were really mistreated by the previous administration and Department of Justice.
Of course, the media can't handle it. Vice President Vance pushed back on media criticism and all this.
But I assume eligible to apply for this fund. I mean, you're eligible, but I assume you're not going to apply, and you don't think you should get money out of this fund. Of course. So isn't it just as easy to say that people that attacked police officers should not get taxpayer money from this fund?
Well, look, John, we're not trying to give money to anybody who attacked a police officer. We're trying to give money, we're trying to compensate people where the book was thrown at them. They were mistreated by the legal system. Sometimes, we do have, John, in this country, innocent until proven guilty. We do have people who were accused of attacking law enforcement officers. That doesn't mean that we're going to completely ignore some of the claims that they're going to make. We're going to evaluate these things on a case-by-case basis.
Good.
And if we think that somebody, whatever they were accused of, if we think that somebody was unfairly prosecuted and deserves just compensation, then that's what this fund is going to exist to provide.
If we feel that the demonic-filled room of people, of Democrats and rhinos that got together and said, we're going to put something together and attack these Americans who love President Trump, who were doing nothing wrong, if we feel they were mistreated and we have the proof to show you that that happened, we're going to compensate them and make sure that they're taken care of. For those that were pretending, those were the fake officers that were knocking windows down and pretending that they were MAGA people, but they were actually part of the FBI, or maybe they were flown in from Ukraine for practice, because we saw that too and more. Those people, will make sure we expose them for what they really did.
It's just going to correct a wrong, and I think that's a good thing. And I'd encourage everybody, Democrat, Republican, Independent, let's turn the page on this thing that we did under the last administration where we tried to throw people in prison because they had the wrong politics. Let's throw people in prison who broke the law. I think this fund is a good part of getting justice for the people who were wrongly treated.
Yep. Speaking of justice for wrongly treating people, did you guys see what was going on in Los Angeles? We know we've been talking about Spencer Pratt. There's a new AI video ad depicting Ramen and Mayor Karen Bass arresting women for buying meat for a barbecue. Remember, they said that they don't think that people should have barbecues. There's the ladies going to Walmart to get their barbecue. They're getting their meat. And they're voting for Pratt with their T-shirts on. They're all kinds of meat. Remember, this is AI generated.
You know this isn't allowed, right? BBQs are banned. I'm calling my manager.
Requesting manager backup, code mustard.
Executive of the city. The mayor has to change his city to respond to the people's needs.
Karen and Ramen have ruined enough. Spencer Pratt. Oh, it's so good. You know, we got this from Ramen Ektiar, an update on what's going on in California.
I'm going to give you a number. Listen, 990,294. That's how many California ballots are already returned 12 days before primary day. And here's why Gavin Newsom is sweating. Republicans, the party that never votes early, are returning ballots at 7%. Democrats, the party that always dominates, are at 4%. For the first time in 20 years, Republicans are leading the early ballot return in California. That's why 3 days ago, Newsom said, break the glass. And that's why his operatives just filed papers to change the primary rules. That's why federal prosecutors just dropped a guilty plea on Skid Row. Voted fraud. They're panicking. Don't you dare slow down. Get your ballot in, call 3 friends, knock on a door. We can break this. 990,000 and counting.
How about that? Gavin Newsom and breaking the glass. Going to show what he meant. And just in time, California needs federal dollars. Seasons, as Kimberly Hours, there's fires popping up all over California. They'll be begging for the money. Federal, give us some money. Give us some money. You know, it's always starting fires when they need money. That's what it looks like. John Solomon said the left's election fraud denials crumble as the DOJ exposes 2-decade-long California cheating scheme. Oh, yeah. 20 years. 20 years. We were told on the Q board, will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Q said yes. Watch California was deliberate. Really? Because we were told April 19th, will election fraud be revealed soon in 2018? Yes, midterms are safe. Watch California. Oh boy, could this be the year all of that plays out. Bill Salih, Assistant United States Attorney for the Central District of California, just announced that the illegal voter registration case guilty plea mentioned by Acting Attorney General Dillon is being leveraged to secure a full audit of California's voter rolls. This is how you get around the state's effort to shield its voter rolls from federal scrutiny. Boom. And big boom's happening with precious metals. Hope you guys see and watch what's going on with the volatility. And you're jumping in when you need to with your IRAs and getting out of that fiat stuff. We had some great updates again on Saturday with this video that was dropped by Dr. Kirk Elliott with our interview.
Demand for the dollar. Well, we saw this week, the Genius Act, right? It's like, okay, so having stable coins on the blockchain, which 90% of all stable coins globally are US dollars. That's new demand for the US dollar, right? So that means there's going to be less printing because of lack of demand, right? If we're not getting it from somewhere, you're going to have to print it, right? So you look at both of these options. Trump issuing this bill going through Congress, and it looks like it's making huge headway, right? So it's like, okay, that creates demand for the dollar on the blockchain, or you've got a potential new currency that's backed by gold. Both of those could be disinflationary, right? But outside of that, you have what the global talking heads on news are talking about. It's like oil prices going through the roof, commodity prices going through the roof. They're printing money like there's no tomorrow in the United States to actually fund things because yen carry trade is over. That's inflation. Ultimately, you're going to have to raise rates to slow that down.
So it's an amazing update. amweknow.com/gold. In the description box below, you can click on that, reach out to his team, and you will get the answers that you need, and they will actually pray with you also. What a great change has happened in our own family when we brought our IRAs over, all of our cash over to silver when it was $20 an ounce. And man, it's just been great to watch that play out for our own family. President Trump admin sued California for forcing girls to compete against biological men. Transgender male A.B. Hernandez crushed a high school track meet, winning the long jump, high jump, and triple jump, and is advancing while standing on the podium with female athletes. This is the same athlete who won 2 state titles last year competing against girls. California's policy forces schools to let students compete based on gender identity and not biology. The president, DOJ, says this violates Title IX and discriminates against women. They are suing the state to stop it. Women are being erased from their own sports and told to accept co-champions when biological males win. It's a disgrace. We need to protect female athletes, and biology matters. And of course, the media, they don't help at all as they continue to do all they can to lie to the people, masquerade as the purveyors of good news and truth and more. Now, I wanted to show you this masterclass that J.D. Vance played since he's public affairs. Remember, we worked together. And he was in public affairs Marine. And he's getting a big laugh out of this media guy who's trying to basically lead with his story as if he's the leader of this country.
The president's financial disclosures were released recently, and they showed a lot of stock trades in companies that he has talked up at events, official events at the White House, on his True Social account, sometimes even putting the stock ticker symbols in his posts and encouraging people to buy their stock. Americans, according to recent polling, are increasingly describing the president as corrupt. And trading stocks...
This is a hell of a question.
Thank you, sir. Trading individual stocks is something that you said that public officials should not be able to do when you ran for Senate all those years ago. And yet the president, who arguably has access to more non-public information than your average senator, is not only buying and selling individual stocks either through his trust.
Okay. What's the question?
The question, sir, is how can you and your administration argue to Americans that you're cleaning up corruption, you're preventing fraud, you're fighting the sorts of things that harm people and people's financial situations, when the president seems to be talking up stocks that he owns, selling them, and enriching himself?
Okay, so here, let me answer your question here. That was a doozy. Before I answer your question, I want to just observe there are different ways to ask a question.
Yep.
Okay, you can just ask a question, try to get your answer, or you could do like a speech where you say, Mr. Vice President, you're a terrible human being, and so is the president, and so is the entire cabinet, and then I'm like, what's your question? And then your question is, how dare you? Come on, man. Have a little bit of objectivity in the way that you ask these questions, because there were a lot of things in that speech masquerading as a question that didn't actually get asked. Okay.
That's right.
Number one, The president doesn't sit at the Oval Office on his computer on his like Robinhood account buying and selling stocks. That's absurd. He has independent wealth advisors who manage his money. He is a wealthy person. He has had success in business. He's not making these stock trades himself. And your question imputes that. It doesn't say it exactly, but a reasonable person listening to that question would assume the president is sitting around and doing that. He's not. Second of all, you're right. I am a big fan of banning members of Congress from trading stocks. So is the President of the United States. All of us believe that nobody should be taking proprietary information gained from public service and buying and selling stocks. We want to ban that process. And I think the way to lead by example is banning that process, banning that approach, and making it illegal, which is exactly what the president has proposed doing.
Brilliant. Turn the media around. Finally explain to the people, right, that don't really understand how the media works, how these snakes work in the media, and basically say, do you guys see what he's doing? He's trying to tell the whole story as if there's this guilt involved. And I'm going to tell the whole story, and I'm not really going to ask a question. Then when I get to a question, it's a gotcha. See, should have been simple. Hey, what's going on? President Trump seems like he's making some money on some stocks. What do you have to say about that? Well, he's got a guy that does it for him, and it's not anything that you should worry about, and he gives the great answer and says that's not what President Trump is doing. Way different than those others that play their games like Nancy Pelosi, who got caught, and so much more. I wanted to show you retired Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brock, 29-year combat veteran, A-10 Warthog pilot, in Frisco, Texas.
All right. Good evening. My name is retired Lieutenant Colonel Larry Brock, and I've served this nation for 29 years, 13 as an A-10 Warthog pilot, 4 as a reconnaissance pilot, and I lived under Sharia in Saudi Arabia for 7 years, where I provided information to the U.S. government. In short, I have fought Islam and the jihad my entire adult life. I've studied military history extensively. Many of you may not know this, but the SS also had a worldview. They believed that God gave the Germans the world to rule, and they also gave them a leader. Islam believes the exact same thing. The world is theirs to rule, and they were given the Prophet Muhammad. During World War II, we would not have allowed the SS to build a recruiting center and supply and weapons depot, nor should we allow Islam to build the same here in the United States. How do I know they will do it? I've seen it too many times in my time in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, I fully understand that many of you believe that this building of a mosque is protected by the First Amendment. I believe if you approve this mosque, you're putting yourself, the council, and the city at risk of violating 18 U.S.C. 2339A and 2339B by aiding and abetting a terrorist organization and providing them material support. Just this past weekend, we learned that Mark Hill, a mayoral candidate, is backed by Faisal Syed, who is a leader of the terrorist organization CARE. Are you absolutely certain that no financial money came to purchase this land or involved in the construction of this mosque came from CARE or the Muslim Brotherhood, which our governor has designated as terrorist organizations? Even if you were certain, I would ask all of you to consider whether you want your wives and daughters to be forced to wear burqas. If you want your daughters subject to Muslim grooming and rape gangs. This is the fruit of Islam. This is the result of putting mosques in Christian cities. Are you willing to stand up to this political hostile ideology and say to them, there is a price we will not pay. There is a point beyond which you must not go. Great forces are on the move here. And with this decision, you will decide whether or not Frisco will be remembered as the city that stood up and turned the tide on the Muslim invasion, or will you choose the path of appeasement and pass to other Americans the honor of firing the first volley against this religion? Now, I truly want, and I believe you do as well, to see this issue solved with ballots and not bullets. You must vote down this mosque. This is a vote that will define your time on this city council. All right. I am hopeful that you will use this opportunity to strike a blow for our faith, for our nation against this enemy ideology that wishes to see our republic destroyed, our churches burned, our mothers, wives, and daughters enslaved, and to see the light of freedom extinguished by Mohammedan darkness. God bless you.
Got a huge ovation for that. A lot playing out in that world of Texas and what's going on there. Got to keep an eye on it. All types of infiltration playing out. I wanted to show you this here, just found as we were going through that video clip. April Sparks put this out. Free Bibles. It's a Christian nation. What a beautiful day.
Just so wonderfully, we've given out so many Bibles to so many people.
This is in Wiley, Texas.
Kids, parents, as they're going in, they're taking Bibles into the school. Over and over again as they're coming in, they're receiving Bibles.
They're getting Bibles handed out outside Wiley East High School, the same school where just a few months ago an unauthorized group was caught distributing Qurans and hijabs to students. This is all you, Marco Hunter Lopez.
We've got some counter-protesters that are saying Islam in the school is okay, but not Christianity outside. But look at all these great people. Here's Marco Hunter Lopez. Marco,
so happy to be here.
What were you saying a minute ago? That this is all God, isn't it?
It's all God. What the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for good.
That's exactly right. They passed out Qurans illegally inside of the school.
Yep.
You saw it. You exposed it. You shared it with everybody. You were called to testify in front of Congress.
Yes.
You were then on Fox News' Will Cain. I mean, you just did so many great things. And then you were on Fox News, then you were on Glenn Beck, and now here, and then all this God culminated this week into this that we've been talking about with your dad for weeks, and it just came together. This is absolutely God.
Yes.
And the beauty is, look at all these Bibles we passed out. We're running out of Bibles, almost. I mean, bracelets, stickers. Look at all these young students who are with us, and it's just amazing.
It is amazing. Way to go. It's great to see young folks again out there standing ground, handing out Bibles. And he said what God meant for evil, or what they meant for evil, God meant for good. Right out of Joseph, huh? So amazing. We're watching the Great Awakening. Day after day, these updates are helping young folks stand up strong for this country. We hope and pray that many more will rise up and this will continue.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you again, so grateful for what you've done in the lives of so many people on this earth. It's been a long decade of a wake-up call for many people who were asleep. Day after day, many who are starting to understand the evil that has overshadowed our country and many countries across this earth. They're hoping and praying day after day for this evil to be exposed fully and for those guilty of crimes against humanity to be finally placed out there in the public eye for many to see. We ask that you continue to protect these young folks that are handing out Bibles, the young folks that are standing on the front lines now, saying they're going to do all they can in the name of Jesus Christ to stand for truth and help people wake up. We ask that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We thank you for the daily provisions that you've given us and continue to provide so that we can survive day after day. We ask that you continue to help and protect us in our own way, in the way we talk to our neighbors, our friends and family, and so much more. Again, we thank you, Heavenly Father, for all that you do and your protection over President Trump and many in his administration. We hope these rhinos are exposed soon and we can watch this nation flourish for what it once was. We bring this before you in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening and saying prayers and following this channel and sharing it with others. And the numbers have just been amazing, and we just thank our Heavenly Father for that, folks. And you've just been so encouraging to all of us. We thank you. For now, this is LT Semper Fi with Them We Know, signing out.
What's the old song? You don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Trump in a Republican primary. And that's what Thomas Massie has done by becoming his chief antagonist.
Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative.
I fully expect, unless there's some surprise that none of us know anything about right now, that Joe Biden will be the next president.
Strong words from U.S. Senator John Cornyn out of Texas. The Republican says former President Donald Trump can't win the 2024 general election for president. He also says the GOP needs to find a candidate who actually can.
Senator Cornyn is a principled conservative.
We have the enemy outside, which would be the very standard countries, and we have the enemy from within. We have some very sick people from within.